Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
No, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on America's soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby. Thank you for tuning in. This is my show. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I see you in the chat. What's up? Hearts and minds this. Someone knows. Someone knows a little bit. Someone's an OG in the chat. Hello, everybody. Brennan, Bibby. We got two Bibbies. Bad Bibby. Dean. What's up, everybody? Ivana. Mr. Pink. Folks. A fine Thursday on the network, don't you think? Great shows. I want to be getting into, it's almost like the universe is just serving up content for me. I've been talking about, I guess, many things. Among them, this change in guard. The change in guard, the change in the people owning stuff and running things. And for the wrong reasons, really. We've at least shown the intellect. I think at least we've made a fair argument to the intellectual. For those that can't see clearly that there's an order, there's no equality, that's a lie. Someone's got to lead, and there's an ordained way for reasons that maybe some of us may not totally understand. But I think we made a fair argument. They want to put it, you know what I mean, right? The minority stuff, the not merit, for every reason but that. Even when it involves safety of the public safety. We're talking planes, folks. I know I get a little crazy with the planes, but that's in Minecraft. That's in virtual space. So you can't come after me, FAA. This is, however, not a joke. So I want to show you some of that. It's almost like I'm being served. All of a sudden, I tune into the news. I tune into X.com, and I see an amazing headline. Spain's first parliamentarian with Down syndrome. Anyways. Yeah, all aboard. What's up, everybody? You can call in 888-775-3773, 188. Put a little one at the front, at the beginning of that, if you're international, if you're having trouble. Try Skype, try WhatsApp. But, yeah, folks, what's up, Rumble? What's up, Twitch? How y'all doing? What's up, Ohio Sentinel? Shout out. Thank you, sir. Thank you to the JLP Network. It's coming together, huh? Affirmative action, air traffic controllers, and now they're building the planes, too. Anyways. Let's not get too into the chat here, but I wanted to get into this. I found amazing footage of this first parliamentarian? Maybe I have Down syndrome or something like it. Not Downs, obviously. That's a known disease, right? Or syndrome, or you have an extra chromosome, right? There's certain characteristics of people with Down syndrome. Among them, IQ levels, facial characteristics, speech, and behavioral patterns, if you will. I don't know, I'm not an expert on this, but Mar Galceran, history as Spain's first. It writes itself. It writes itself. I know. I want to show you her speaking, though. It's in Spanish. I'll do a little translating, and I'll give you my honest view if she's speaking slowly or if she's speaking in a normal manner, befitting of a, holder of office in Spain. Spain, making history. There were others before her who paved the way, apparently. First city councils. It starts there. The first city council of somewhere in Spain. They broke barriers, and she was some woman who's also had Down syndrome, okay? Paved the way. It's like their Congress, okay? Essentially. Right? You talking about Fetterman? Oh, yeah, I guess we don't get to talk crap, huh? We don't get to talk crap. Although Fetterman, you'll tell me, okay, I'll give you my honest view. This will be fair. Fetterman versus 𝒔𝒊𝒂𝒎. I know it'll be in Spanish, the clip, but I tell you, I already saw a little bit. I already saw the clip already, so just so you know. And so I got to say, I think it's pretty close. I think it's pretty close. Wow. We can't say that out loud. He doesn't have Down syndrome. I'm just reading the chat. So I definitely want to show you this. �𝒊𝒂𝒎. Here she is. Here she is. Are we going to get a... Nobody type mildly attractive. Don't do that. Have some respect. Don't take it there. Don't take it somewhere weird. Don't do that. I'm showing, for those listening, I'm just showing the article, okay? And some are saying, what a mess, okay? But if she is qualified, can you say no? Is it fair? Where's this video? I got you right here. Hold on. �𝒊𝒂𝒎. This is from a couple months ago. She's being interviewed. And I'll say the interview questions, they're lucid. They don't seem baby. Because I was trying to watch out for this, okay? Is the interviewer babying this �𝒊𝒂𝒎? Or is this a fair interview, okay? I know it's in Spanish, but hold on. This is Mar. Breaking barriers. She can write. Okay, I'm not being mean. It's just what's on people's minds, I bet. We all have our views. Bigoted views, maybe. Okay, hold on. I'm being ridiculous. Let's watch.
Okay,
let's get to the interview. No, people don't understand.
Estás abriendo informativos, participando en programas, portadas, en radio. ¿Cómo llevas toda esta atención mediática?
Pues la llevo con tranquilidad y con filosofía.
So she's basically asking, how are you, like, what's your view of how you're handling everything? I'm sorry, I kind of missed it myself. Sorry.
En radio, ¿cómo llevas toda esta atención mediática?
Yeah, she's handling all this media attention. She says, I handle it with tranquility and philosophy.
Pues la llevo con tranquilidad y con filosofía. Pero que tampoco es que me asusten los medios de comunicación.
And it's not like I'm scared of media. I'm saying from this first Eric Bullock, este primero retardo presidente. Nick, you don't need me to translate fine use name, but some of the other people might. And I mostly don't even want to translate the words. It's just her whole like way of speaking. And this first impression is quite lucid. It's quite it's she's speaking fine. It's just strange, and the way she vocalizes it, it's clear that it's like muffled in, I don't know, must be like some strange facial stuff with how, they have like, their structures are different, okay, right? Extra chromosome. But the manner of speech is lucid, it's clear.
y me estabas contando, tú trabajabas en televisión.
Yo he trabajado
I've worked in
23
television,
años,
she's saying. That's why it's not a
así
problem
que
for me.
sé cuál es el trabajo que hacéis, que os entiendo perfectamente.
I understand everything perfectly.
¿Expectación y tanta atención?
Bueno, si lo pensáis bien, soy la primera persona con síndrome de Down, recién nombrada diputada autonómica. Claro, eso queda mucha expectación.
I'm trying to tell you, I know you might not understand, so we can skip some. But she's speaking quite well, I gotta say. She's very high functioning, says Chris. So maybe our first impressions are maybe misguided a little bit. They say, if you look it up, they say they have a certain IQ. But it varies widely. I don't know if they tested her. I don't know if that's what they do. Do you test IQ when entering office? I don't think they do that here in America. They don't test IQ and comprehension. They did. Didn't they try testing Trump though? Wait, if I remember this, didn't they try giving Trump a test, a comprehension test, and he passed it he answered every question beautifully, or he aced the cognitive test. Here's Business Insider. Trump keeps boasting he aced a very hard, very difficult cognitive test. And then they made fun. I remember the news made fun of him, saying that wasn't that hard. Look, it's pictures of a lion and a rhino. Did Biden do any kind of cognitive test? Biden cognitive test. Did he do a cognitive test? Uncle Google, Snopes asks. Snopes is fact-checking. Just so you know, Snopes is fact-checking. Did Biden fail in an initial cognitive intelligence test for presidency? They rate it satire. They're saying it's satire. Fake news. Okay. Anyways, wonder if he ever took one. But I remember that. This whole cognitive test mess. Trump himself gave himself that test. Okay, was it like that? So what was I saying? She's speaking quite clearly, I gotta say. Lucid. Well, the questions are, I don't think, too leading. At one point later on, when they ask her, what policies do you want to make? Like something like that, something to that effect. And I thought that part got strange. She was like, maybe I'm judging because she has Down syndrome. Hold on. Hold on, this is a mess. Let's just move on. Okay, right here, I think.
Ahora ya tienes la oportunidad, ya tienes tu acta que has recogido en este score. ¿Qué ley o qué medida te gustaría poder sacar adelante en esta legislatura?
In this
la que tú ya tendrás además
session, you want to get ahead? Something like that.
Esto mucho en el movimiento asociativo.
This is a mess. Let's move on. She's so Fetterman versus Gauceran. Fetterman in the way she was speaking. She speaks better than Fetterman. It's just a little strange in the way it comes out. But she speaks better than Fetterman in some cases, I gotta say. Jeez, what a mess. But that's a two splitting of hairs. I'm speaking language strangely. I'm barely monolingual. I can barely speak English. I maybe have a syndrome myself. But it's just too nitpicky for me. Because the whole thing is, she's breaking barriers. She's making it possible. Look, it says right here. For decades, she battled to ensure that people with intellectual disabilities were part of the conversation. It just seems the wrong motivation. It's the absolute wrong motivation. It's totally emotional, female-driven, and a society that's a very almost barbaric, if you really think about it. It's almost a very barbaric way of ordering society, because it's all about the lowest common denominator. Going to that level, the weakest pulls everybody else down instead of, the strongest, not the most brutal, but the most civilized, pulling everybody up. You see what I'm saying? It's actually quite uncivilized to go to the lowest common denominator. It almost reminds me of this Peace Corps officer I was talking about, with used name, and where they went to go to Africa, some tribe, and what they notice about African and this person related to other areas, third world we call it, to the way they order their societies, it's very hierarchical, corporal punishment, okay? He told a story of a young enterprising African who used his savings to bake loaves of bread to resell, only to be bogarted by his own father, who said, well, the family needs it, and he just couldn't say no because the family needs it. Left bankrupt by those with the give me hands. This is what that spirit is, okay? So it's very barbaric. It's very evil. It's no love to the person with Down syndrome or the least of us. It's a very uncivilized kind of way of living. Lying like that. Lowest common denominator is the plan of the communist conspiracy, says John F. I mean, it's spiritual. It's right there. You see it. Okay, you see it. Trump boasts he aced that. Don't talk about him. All right. He doesn't have syndromes. This person has Down syndrome. What's the way? My old views are a way of the past. Nugget Man wants me to talk about the tunnels. I already mentioned the tunnels. What's there to say? I know it's there's a funny thing about the tunnels. I'll show you later. The tunnels. Whatever. Where was I? Oh yeah, Turning Point apparently celebrating this woman. Turning Point UK. You know, these are supposed to be the young conservatives on the campuses. That's my understanding of Turning Point. Is that the same when it's overseas? When it's Turning Point International in the UK? Is it just young movement of the young conservatives? Great news. We wish Mar the best success in her political career. Well, of course we do. She's running as a conservative. I don't know if I told you that. By the way, let me just make this point here. I almost forgot to mention. She becomes Spain's first parliamentarian with Down syndrome. As a staunch traditionalist, Mar represents the Conservative People's Party. I've heard this before with other women. But maybe she is not like other women. Maybe Mar is quite unlike other, they say, what was that Italian woman they said would be so base, she'd stop the immigration problem. I'm going to turn around and feel bad. Feel bad for the Africans in the boats. But Mar, I don't think is quite like other women. She's not like the other ones. And so she's a staunch traditionalist, a conservative. Turning Point is wishing her success. Why not, right? I mean, we want success for all. People who are elected officials, they're going to run in things. But it's for the wrong reasons, right? And conservatives are very progressive of the conservatives. They're really not unlike the conservatives here. Very, very progressive. What is the big difference? What's the difference between conservatives and liberals? Barbaric conservatives, uncivilized conservatives in the UK. What if we're the, says Lord Bibby. I can't repeat that. Landlord spawns. Yeah, there's a spawn point down there in the tunnels. Don't smash the spawn point. There's only a few of those. Anyways, that's just too much gamer talk. No more. Stop with the gamer talk. I think that's it on this though. Margauseran. Turning Point. I think there was another thing I wanted to show you. No, I think that's it. 888-775-3773. What's up, Wild Sentinel? Thank you. Dang, Maloney, you're right. That's who I was thinking of, and I didn't quite put it in those words, Ohio Sentinel, but I had a similar. Ohio Sentinel. You'll have to go to Rumble and see what he wrote. pretty much. Rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Lord. But you know what is? What's worse? Let me show you. Oh yeah. The other point I wanted to make about that is, now this is probably silly. It's just kind of a side point. You're seeing her speak quite well. She speaks in that interview about reading and developing politics and being into it and being encouraged in many ways. And I don't know, it just made me think about assumptions. I think people with extreme, call it disabilities, extreme physical and biological, I don't know, genetic things going on, sometimes offer an insight to the nature of our experience. And I'm not saying that she's quite clearly, and this is my cursory knowledge of like Down syndrome, what the heck do I know? But it seems like the IQ varies, despite it being usually what people call an IQ of a child. They maintain an IQ of a child. She speaks quite clearly. She says, no, we develop, at least I did, she mentions in that interview. And, it's quite clear that she's maybe a high-functioning form of this. So I don't know, that doesn't, I'm not ignoring that point, but I think there's a lot to be said, like autism, for example. There's a lot to be said about how children are being raised and the emotional aspect that happens in the home. And what I mean is anger, okay? Angry mothers, the trauma in the home, and just how that makes you dumb. Have you seen how dumb kids can be when they're like emotional? And you just look at their parents and it all kind of makes sense, right? You can imagine someone with Down syndrome, the parents just like accepting things that the world tells them. IQ means this. And I'm not saying it doesn't, but to treat a child like someone with Down, imagine the negative effect. It's like the kid has Down syndrome, but on top of that, you treat it like it has Down syndrome. That's probably dumb to say. I'm sure you have to adapt to a child who has something like this in the moment. And it's probably not like you're treating like an adult, but am I making some sense here? I think it challenges some of those things. Autism, they say. Oh, they got problems in their brain. Too much problem. They got structural problems, but the mothers, they got them all crazy, like little emotional, weird kids, and maybe I'm making some sense to somebody. Parents out there, you do a lot of damage yourself, okay? So it's just kind of something, whatever, side note. I see your calls coming in. I'll get to you. Appreciate it. 888-775-3773. I'll just take Josh from Georgia. Why not? I got Josh on the air. Thank you for your call.
Hey, no problem, man. First time caller.
Oh, right. Are you sure? What do I feel like you
called? No, I called you. I called the Nick stream one time.
They're right.
I called a Friday night stream once.
Thank you. Right on.
Yeah. But no, it's what, Bibby just said it in the chat, man. I think everybody's like, can I say the R word, or should I say special needs?
I don't think YouTube likes that.
Yeah, okay. We'll say special needs, maybe. Right. Yeah, no problem, man. Special needs maybe is better.
Intellectually disabled, like the Guardian calls them.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy being around people like that, because it's like, I went to college and I'm too intellectual. I see that about myself, so I want to get dumber, if you'll say. I want to think more simpler, like Forrest Gump,
I kind of know what you mean. Big time. No, it's, oh man, overthinkers. I mean, what can I say about that? It's a strange self-inflicted wound but it's not yet at the same time. You just wait to it to your mind. It's the strangest thing, but it's all not real.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, you're right about that. They treat them like they have Down syndrome, that even makes it worse, like what you said earlier.
And like anger too. I bet you're saying it's really nice to be around people like that, and I'm sure that's true. I talk to people I know people who like dealt with them professionally and all that, and it's nice, but it's always not so hunky dory, and they get frustrated, and so I bet you a lot of that is just like pure toxic negativity to a kid already who's got problems. They just go deeper into their mind, deeper into I don't know what to call it. So it's not always like that. It's like it could be quite frustrating. It's challenging, right? But I wonder if that the fact that you can't handle it really everything. Even this situation keeps pointing to me, that proves to me that it's always you. It's always you in every situation. Yep. If you could just, it's already a mess, right? I don't know what happened. I don't know what man-made horrors we've done to our genetics, because I don't blame God for it. People love to blame God for it. I don't know what we did where it's in the water, something in the water. I don't know what the heck, man, but that's already bad. But if we could come correct, I know I'm speaking, maybe asking a lot for some, but if it really is just ourselves in every situation.
Yeah, man. It's like I would want to learn. I would want to learn from I guess it's almost like a child, like being around like a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old that hasn't, been as traumatized yet. You can just learn a lot about how they don't think, about like the social norms. I guess they miss that's autism. They miss the social cues. It's probably better, you can probably learn a lot about myself.
I can't say I have too much experience, to be honest with you.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, let me think. Going in school, I remember at school they had them apart. They called them PIP. They were the PIP kids. And that maybe was a pejorative from us, but it was the name of the program. And they were just, hey, the Pips. And then, I don't know, they kept them apart. I can't say I really had too much experience.
Oh, man. I remember, looking back on school now, I think the kids that made straight A's that were super, and the gifted, they called them gifted, I think those are the real traumatized ones. Because they turned out to be, super intellectual, super liberal, or... I
and
think
it's not even that special.
Yeah,
they live by it. Like all people live by the mind, but they really got it bad. It's not even that special. It's just like, the smart guy, the courageous guy. It's a role. It's a tool. It's just something. I don't know. It's just not that big of a deal.
Interesting, man.
Like the techie, like he's the engineer, but he's not the leader, the brave guy. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's just a thing. It's not that special. But intellectuals got it bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're all retarded. Oops, my bad. I think we're all special needs, man. I think everybody is.
The Pips. We're Pip kids. Big time.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you something, but I forgot. Oh, yeah, Mar. Well, I don't know if you understand the Spanish, but how bad did it seem? Fetterman or Mar? That's probably not a fair question. This politician lady I showed.
Oh.
The Spanish.
Well, obviously Fetterman, because I would. You ask me who I would vote for, or
that's fair.
You ask me who I would prefer. You mean?
Yeah, or who spoke clear. But I don't know if that's a fair question.
I would always vote for the dude, even if it was Obama. I would always just.
Then the Down syndrome woman.
Yeah, I would. Really? But you know what? I would vote for a Down syndrome guy over any woman. Any woman.
Right on. I mean, I can't blame you, man. I don't know if the public has been confronted with such a concept. Wait, you're telling me these are we're not giving the intellectually disabled a chance? And what if they can? They say, well, it's not about their identity. Don't judge that, the outside. If they could prove it, if they're qualified. It's like, I don't think the public, that's almost unfair when you think about it, to have to challenge the public like that when it's something, when this is about running the country and important things. It's almost evil to make the public confront that. Already when the public, they already got every person voting, so it's not everybody in their right mind.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think it's always going to be the manipulative person that gets into politics.
Dang.
They just naturally, that's how the devil has it set up. The natural Obama type person, he always going to get into politics. And I think the founding fathers knew that. That's why they made the system this way, to fend it off. But
right on. Well,
yeah.
Right on, Josh. Last thing you want to say before we move the wheels here?
No, that's all, man. Great show. I love the show, man.
Hey, right on, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Call me again.
All right. Hey, bro. Yeah.
Nice. IQ. I mean, it's not that special. Being everyone has a gift. Everyone has a gift, right? Some are smart, some are ripped. Some I don't know. Some ripped people are smart. That's a judgmental, bigoted viewpoint that people have. You brute, I'd rather be smart than some of these bodybuilders are basically physics professors. You know what I'm saying? They're like physics masters, physics and isometrics and friggin' other such physical bodybuilding words. You know what I'm saying? Don't be judging. These skateboarders these stoned skateboarders are physics professors with the way the board moves and the little touches in the air. Okay, whatever. They're also potheads. Let's move on. I got Thomas out of Michigan. I appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, Nick. How's it going?
All is well, Thomas. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yep. So, just like you said, IQ is nothing special. And at the same time, it is one of the most controversial physical attributes of man. Because usually when we think about high IQ people, we think about like professors. But quite interestingly, the average IQ of professors is like 105 to 110.
I believe
which is a little bit smarter. I shouldn't say smarter, which is a little bit higher, but doesn't necessarily mean they are smarter.
Big time.
It's just like a height of a person. At the same time, it's just like the weight of a person.
They almost call it, I think they have a name for that, midwits. You ever heard that term?
Yes, sir.
I love that midwit meme. And you know the meme I'm talking about where they have an IQ graph and a spread on the, and they'll have an argument on this meme, and the arguments, this IQ spread, it usually goes, well, they'll have like an average to high IQ person in the middle arguing something stupid like, hair is a societal construct or something like that, right? All academic. Yeah. And then you got at the both ends of the IQ spectrum, the dumbest of the dumb and the geniuses always agreeing, like girl have long hair, boy have short hair, duh.
Yep.
The midwit meme, I like it a lot. And I know a little bit about what you're talking about. High IQ people's lives are usually a mess. Their personal, like unusually high IQs. They don't make money. Their lives are usually unordered.
Yep, that is true.
And yeah.
Brag. I'm not going to brag, but my IQ is about 2.5% of the American population.
Mensa boy genius.
Close.
Oh, close. So it's not Mensa. What is that? What is Mensa even?
Mensa is 136 IQ points.
136, so like 136 points and above, I guess.
Yep.
Dang, we got a smarticle. What's that been like?
You know what? Actually, it is no different because you have to think about it. It's like the hardware of a computer. Without the proper software, it does nothing to you. So you can have the best process, like you game a little bit. You can have the best processor, the best graphics processing unit, but without proper software, you optimize the performance of the hardware. It doesn't make a difference.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
So, an analogy to your life, did the hardware work for you, I guess?
Oh, yeah. It helped really. It helped quite a bit. Well, I'll say that I did not have to study that much, and I still got quite a bit ahead. So I'm really thankful for that.
Nice.
Yep.
Right on, man.
And there's the...
it definitely is a controversial topic, though. You were right, how you were saying earlier. Go ahead. I cut you off.
Oh, I was going to say that it has some drawbacks that I tend to overthink stuff, but that was before me waking up.
Interesting.
But
what do you mean?
After waking up, I know that all those thoughts are not important at all. I do not care about them anymore.
Right on, Thomas. Makes sense. Not that important. All right, sir.
Yep.
Well, appreciate your call, man, and call me again.
Yep, and one last thing.
By all means,
and why actually, America is successful. Well, used to be more successful, but America is successful. The same with Western civilization. Not only because the people are smart, but the people had morality, and that is what built nations.
That is such a good point, man, because that's how a lot of high IQ people that are not American that are doing so well, I think, in my opinion. That Indians, Chinese come to mind. They're also benefit in many ways from this very generous, high trust society. That you know what I'm saying? Like they economically and business wise, a shrewd, an intelligent person can really take advantage. And not even in a negative way. Always, I'm saying, just in a. You see what I'm saying here? They are enjoying a lot of that success due to not just the intelligence that I guess drove the economies in America, but it's morality, 100%.
It is morality,
which is quickly changing, quickly.
Yep. And that is most unfortunate because every generation, I think there's a decrease in IQ with every new generation, but the economy is still expanding. So it's not so much that the economy is tied to IQ, but the economy again is tied to morality, and that somewhat is a proxy of consumerism. Yep. So, yeah, it is an interesting, like, when you observe how country develop through immigration, through religion. I love history, and I love how when the belief of a nation change, you can almost predict what follows soon after.
Yeah, I think it's with that bird's eye view. It's almost you almost think how it can't be clear to some, but I guess they just can't see it. But the direction's clear, and the change happened in the hearts of the people. Who they are, where they're from, what they believe. That was a change, a big one, and that's the source, 100%, man. Appreciate your call, Thomas, man. Call me again.
Hey, thank you very much, Nick. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. I will get back to calls here. Thank you. 888-775-3773. Appreciate that. I have a Buy Me a Coffee now. buymeacoffee.com/Anchor, baby, if you want to check it out. But we got Yes Gunner with the super chat saying, I am a chromosexual like the rest of the viewers. Chromosexuals, you love chromosomes. You love, or not really love. You lust. I don't know, right? Jabrail, thank you for that. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the support, everybody. DJ 2020, I see you. All good. Right on, sir. Thank you. Thank you. And I will get back to calls. Thanks. 888-775-3773. Funny stuff in the chat. That's just, some people are lazy people are hearing me say, oh, geniuses, they have unordered lives. They don't make money. They don't. Now you guys think you're a genius. Don't go. That's a mistake. Don't go around thinking. Now you're thinking, oh, I must be a genius. I must be a genius. No, that's like a particular. I'm pretty sure I'm talking about like extremely high IQs, extremely high IQs. They don't quite make money. They don't, have an ordered life usually. Lazy people in the chat, okay, maybe you could still do a little work, okay? Don't go thinking you're a genius. 136, and I'm an electrician, LMAO. Well, I believe one of the highest IQs in the whole world, 200 plus, Chris Langan. What's his name? Langan. Christopher Langan. One of the highest IQs, I believe, in the world is an American. Yeah, he quit like everything to become a rancher, to become like a farmer, a rancher guy. And he's a Christian, too, by the way. I believe. He's a Christian. Hold on. Highest IQ in the world. Proof of God. Yes, he believes in, he's a Christian. Believes in God and says there's proof, theories. And he's a smart guy. I don't know too much about it, to be honest. But he's a farmer. He's a farmer. I believe he's got a wife. They've just been married. And they passed the green line test, I think. Oh, I don't know if they passed the green line test. He's kind of where's the solid line? I think it goes up this way, and it goes crooked over here, but she's leaning in too. So, what the heck do I know about this people's marriage because of some green lines? You know what is not high IQ? Possibly. You know what possibly is most likely? Maybe very low IQ, at least low IQ in spirit. This was from late last year, October, 3 months ago. Little argument between a pilot and an air traffic controller. An amazing little moment caught on tape that was recently released, but not, I think, just recently getting attention. We have a Google expert, ATC. Uncle Google taught this person how to be an air traffic controller. This is from a little field in Denton, Texas. And an amazing moment here caught on tape, I guess. Pilot's trying to land, essentially. Air traffic controller tries to, has a little bit of correction for this pilot. Pilot's flabbergasted. Something that he's never heard of in 15 years. We'll watch it. Let's watch this here. And watch this very high IQ moment.
Cherokee 65 Charlie, there's traffic on the parallel. The traffic you're following is inside Highway 380 at Cherokee on final for 18 left.
All right, we're looking for that traffic to follow for 65 Charlie. And if we could plan on the next one, possible, we could get a short approach in, we'd appreciate it.
November 7, Papa Echo, 18 right, cleared option.
Clear for the option, 18 right, stuff, Papa Echo.
Cherokee 65 Charlie, heavy request. Your traffic's out a half-mile final now.
You've got him inside, 65 Charlie.
Cherokee 65 Charlie, give him room. He's a full stop, 18 left, cleared option.
18 left, cleared option, we'll give him room, 65 Charlie.
November 7, Papa Echo, runway 18 right, cleared to land, or cleared option.
Sam, we're going to go full stop, but we'll still be happy to take 18 right for some Papa Echo.
Oh, this is long. Holy crap. I had a shorter version. They're trying to land, okay? Commercial aircraft. It's a commercial aircraft, okay? Trying to land in this airfield. And I want to get you the right moment here. Hold on. Okay. All right, YouTube, come on. Okay, so just setting it up. Already what's happening is this pilot is in a commercial aircraft and he's in a holding pattern, okay? A holding pattern is if you don't got space to land, air traffic controller puts you in one of these and you're just flying in a circle, okay? You're flying in a circle, waiting for the go-ahead to land. Now, when you're in this holding pattern, you can request what's called a short stop, okay? Essentially, when you're A-beam, A-B-E-A-M, when you're A-beam to a fix in flying, in aviation is just a waypoint, a runway, a point, an object in space, okay? And so when you're A-beam, it means that somewhere along your path, this point will be 90 degrees to the left or the right of you. When you're making a turn, because you're in this holding pattern, right? And you're going to do this turn and you're going to be facing the runway again. When you're doing that turn, you can request a short stop and you can make that turn faster. So that's the setup. That's what's going on. They want to make that turn faster for their landing. That's why he says in the next go around, because we're going around in this holding pattern. And so in the next go around, they do this request, and I believe that's this moment here, and we can watch.
Maybe we need to talk about that some more because you're the first.
Okay, hold on.
About a quarter-mile final, ma'am.
Okay, right here.
Well, I'll call your base.
Okay, we're coming up on it, I think, right?
Yeah, I know you are, but you're going a little fast for this Cherokee. I just want to make sure you give him room to get down, that's all.
If you do that, then fly back up.
So 2 Bravo Tango right traffic, change your runway to 18 right.
Change your runway to 18 right. 2 Bravo Tango.
Cessna, we used to fly one of those early Nick Stream.
Papa Echo, turn your base.
Turn the base up, Papa Echo.
That's a 2 Bravo Tango, or November 6-5 Charlie. You should have turned your base before you hit the approach end of the runway. You're outside the airport traffic area.
Okay, so she's correcting him now. He should have turned when he turned at a wrong time, according to her. Okay, turning your base. Okay, that's just that's a certain part of your pattern. There's a certain part of your turn. It's called your base turn. Okay.
Hit the approach end of the runway. You're outside the airport traffic area.
We're on about a quarter-mile final, ma'am. Base.
Yeah, no, you should be inside the airport. You should have turned your base up, even the numbers.
We can't do that and land on the 1,000-footers.
1,000-footer runway. We can't land on that, okay?
What a short approach is.
I'm sorry, I guess I should, we need to come up with something different because in order to complete a commercial check ride, we've got to do what's called a power-off 180.
Well then,
pull the power of beam where you want to touch down and have to land on that point and no more than 200 beyond it.
That's fine, but don't ask for a short approach if you're going to do a power-off 180. That's my point.
Well, okay, I will remember that from now on, no problem.
Yeah, when you ask for a short approach, I expect you to turn your base to beam the numbers.
Okay, you following? This may be too heady. This may be silly, but hey, I fly planes virtually on Fridays. We didn't get one last Friday. I'm itching to do it, so yeah, big time. You got to do a better job on your show on Friday nights, Nick. Are you talking about flying the plane, or are you talking about actually doing the show? Which are they talking about? DNK. Anyways, look. Like I told you what a shortstop was, he's got to do a power off 180. What that means is, and his airline it requires him to do so, and he's been running this 15 years. His airline requires him to do a power off 180. What that means is, at a certain part of this big shortstop turn that you're doing, you power off your engines at 180. Like, I believe it's like at 180 knots or whatever they call it. I'm an affirmative action pilot. Okay, don't go by me. You go idle and you just glide her in, okay? You glide her in, you need a certain amount of space. They have a certain amount of runway. This lady, this is the best part of the whole thing. This is the best part coming up right here. So you're following up to that point, hopefully.
8 right, cleared option.
18 right, cleared option. 2 Bravo Tango.
November 7, Papa Echo, runway 18 left, clear to land.
Thank you, Papa Echo, clear to 18 left.
We need to talk about that some more because you're the first controller for 16 years.
Sorry, hold on right here. 15 years.
Maybe we need to talk about that some more because you're the first controller in 15 years that's ever said that.
Well, I'm just, if you ask for a short approach is when you turn your base and mean the numbers. If I know you're a student asking for a short approach, I know you're out there practicing and you probably will extend. But if you're doing something other than a short approach, don't ask for a short approach.
Well, I will definitely look up the definition of short approach because I've never seen where it says you turn base of beam the numbers because I don't see how you
This part's not important.
Well,
right here.
I Googled it, actually.
I freaking talked over it. She Googled it. She Googles it, and she tells the pilot that she Googled it.
Well, I Googled it, actually. I Googled short approach, and it said to turn your base a beam or before the numbers, and you will land probably touchdown around midfield.
She Googled it. Well, and if you're following, basically, why that's ridiculous. Why is that ridiculous? Okay, maybe this is a ridiculous segment. Why is this ridiculous? She Googles it. She's like, "What a shortstop means this." Okay, but you got to have some knowledge here. The pilot is said earlier that he's doing this on a 1,000-foot runway. She must have missed that part where he would be completely off the runway if he's got to go legalistic like she's asking for. Okay, in this case, you can shortstop. If you power off 180, you got to do it at the point he does it at. But she's all mad about it. Okay, this is maybe silly, but look at the comments. The comments are so funny. There's people who've flown this exact airport in the comments, and we can't confirm it. But I don't know. It's like, it's kind of funny. This may be silly. Where are the comments? Where'd you go? I've had this exact controller get on me when I was a student at KDTO. She's an infamous controller, and it's not uncommon for stuff like this to happen on frequency. The pilot was very professional. Okay, yeah. People just saying this is crazy. But it's the people who've flown this. They're just saying it. But don't argue on frequency. Don't call someone out for something that you yourself don't understand. I mean, maybe it was the pilots. Maybe the pilot instigated that, arguing on frequency. You only one can talk at a time, right? So, no, you can. It's all one frequency, usually, and you don't want to muddy up the space, right? There's other people. What if you have an emergency? But anyways, I guess whatever. Short approaches, smart people in the comments. There was others who were flying KDTO, Denton, Texas. Maybe we got to fly out of Denton, Texas this Friday. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. Don't miss it. I'm feeling great, folks. Okay, we're not canceling. What a mess. I see your calls. Hold on. Anyways. I can't really fault this controller. She's doing her best trying to Google while directing traffic. Holy. I can't criticize, though. I'm a Google pilot. I'm basically a Google pilot. I'm a Google pilot, basically. Mick Googles everything. Who's Mick? How many viewers did I lose there? Let's move on. We got a caller. David, out of Texas. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
Just we were talking about IQ, and I think one of the more controversial parts about IQ is when people make claims about how, there's differences in IQ about different races. So, whites have a higher IQ than blacks, and Mexicans are in the middle, and Asians are higher, and things like that. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's true or false. I mean, there might be a connection with that or not. But I think a really interesting response to that was the interview with Thomas Sowell, and he was saying that, someone might have a higher IQ than somebody else. And to an extent, that can be an advantage. But if you think kind of in your day-to-day lives, the things that you're doing on a regular basis, when are you really, really leaning in on that high IQ to do what you got to do? Maybe if you have like a really tough job or something like that, I get that. And there's some jobs that can only be done by people with, pretty smart people. But I'd say the vast majority of jobs, the vast majority of things that are out there for people to do, a little bit of a higher IQ doesn't really make that much of a difference. And I'd argue it's a lot more important, the effort that you give in and, the discipline that you have in doing something. It might take you a little bit longer to figure it out, but, that's why there's certain people that go to Harvard and other people that go to community college. Although I would argue that there's a lot of people in community college that are probably smarter than people at Harvard. So it kind of comes out in the wash after a while.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm following you. It makes sense to me. It definitely isn't the whole picture. This is what we can agree on. I think I don't think it's the whole picture. It's definitely not the whole picture. And I don't know. In a lot of cases, trying to think of an example. I mean, IQ, right? White people are so smart, which they probably have IQ differences. I'm not denying that. But I mean, you're so smart. Why are you disappearing? You know what I mean? The Mexicans, right? You see what I'm saying here? That's just one example. They're not having enough babies. You know what I'm saying here? They're being outdone. That's just one example that comes to mind. IQ is not the whole picture. You'd think a smart populace wouldn't let themselves die out like that. But yeah, in the workplace, I don't know. I think it's situational, right?
Yeah, I would say so too. Yeah, and I think one of the things that can be problematic for somebody who, you know, is told that they're smart or has a smart label on them, you know, and that's something that kind of Jesse Lee talks a lot about, identities. You know, so if being a smart, high IQ person is a really important part of your identity, you know, a lot of times either you won't admit when you're wrong or you won't be able to, you know, see a certain way about things because that jeopardizes you being smart or your identity of being smart, or a lot of times it prevents people from trying really difficult things because they're afraid of failure, because if they fail, that means they're not smart, or that challenges or threatens their identity of being smart.
I got you, man. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people live like that. If you look at our society, if you look at the West, the way it's ordered, what's glorified is what you're talking about. The most cunning and the most smart. And it's this, and who can, right? Who's got the knowledge, the academia. Those people are the experts, right? The experts, they're lauded in the society. So even people who aren't like that or should be that way, they're almost forced to prove themselves in that way. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
When it's not their forte, it's not their gift. But we have a intellectual society that's kind of lauded, right? It's put on a pedestal. Instead of something realer guiding that, kind of keeping it in check, like a morality. And I think we see the example of it. Without that morality, smart people go nuts. Anyways, what do you think?
It's hard when you try to structure IQ with when you try to constrain it with a morality. I'm not really sure. I'd have to think about that, I suppose.
Yeah, whatever. Not speaking clearly, but what do you think about this? What do you think about? And almost like when people talk about IQ, it almost seems like they give it almost like a random nature, and almost, you know what I mean? It's random. These races, certain people just so happen to be. And I think that is true. We see that variation in individuals. But when we see that in, like, peoples, why is it that... Is it really just this simple? Is it really just, okay, these people have a higher IQ, so they have better ordered societies, and they've just done better and achieved more? Or there's something, which one came first? This is like the chicken or the egg kind of thing I'm asking here. Or is it that it's not random, that these societies, these peoples with the higher IQs or whatever, they've built on something? Am I making some sense? Like they built over time on something where it wasn't quite random. It was maybe some morality involved. The hand of God somewhere, maybe.
Well, I guess two things, that are somewhat related. I don't know how related they are, but I guess I know that there's cultures that have an extra emphasis on having a good education, where some don't value it at all, and parents don't, push their kids to learn and learn the right things. And unfortunately, a lot of American schools are not a good place for that either. But I'd also say, if we're talking about a genetic thing too, I mean, if you have a high IQ and you work hard, which I guess isn't necessarily correlated, but maybe you have a higher job or a better job or something like that, and you have a lot of money. I mean, those aren't the kind of people multiplying and having lots of babies. I think it's, that our society is structured right now so the poorest and the stupidest people are having the kids. And so if you put that on a trajectory for the next several generations, what are we going to turn into? I don't know. Try not to make that a racial thing. So,
are you telling me? Are you saying you're trying to, or are you telling me to try not to?
I'm trying not to. I'm just trying to say in general.
I see what you're saying. I got you.
Yeah.
No problem, man. Well, interesting. Appreciate your call, David.
Oh, man. Thanks a lot for having me, Nick.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Call me again.
All right. I will.
I don't know if we really know about IQ. Who knows their IQ? Who knows their IQ? I know my genetics. It was fun. My genes, my genetic makeup, my DNA. That's what they tell me. That's what the big smart man told me. When I spit in a tube, sent it into Ancestry. Anyways. Sorry, bald man. No, I'm not saying that Africa has the highest IQ with that logic. That's not even what I said. I'm not saying Mexicans aren't having babies. I must have misspoke. It's white people. Europeans, Japanese, Armenians, apparently. They're not making babies. And aren't they the high IQ people? Or relatively high IQ people? Yeah, IQ efficiency. Hake has an interesting metric, which I don't think exists yet, but I think it should. Not the height of the IQ, but the presence of mind to use it. How did you use your IQ? How did you use what God gave you? Isn't there a parable about that? To he, whatever. Isn't it about giving? Isn't there a parable about that? Didn't Jesus say a little something about that? About what you do with what you've been given? Huh? You have all this IQ, and what'd you do with it? IQ is based on teachers' pet Pavlovian programming. Bragging rights for those that generally can or never could. I don't know if you've done one of those tests. I've done something similar. It's just like patterns and shapes, I'm pretty sure. It's patterns, shapes. I think there's some word problems. Your DNA is Anchor, baby. You know it. You accidentally banned someone? Oh, no problem. Oh, delighted to be here. Has delighted to be here been? Delighted's always just delighted. Have they been banned by accident? Do I have to go in here? Let me do that I think that's fair to go in quick and make sure this person's not banned. I think I did a Jubilee on my channel. And I released everybody from being banned. Just like Hake. Although it wasn't 7, what? Isn't it supposed to be 7 years? Who was it? Delighted. Jubilee, just let them all free. How about that? They should be good, Nick. Okay, right on. Thank you. Okay. Appreciate that. I feel like I wanted to show you something to segue into something, but whatever. My bad. We'll talk about this issue tomorrow. Lots to say. What do you mean, yes, Gunner? You talk about IQ? Or what do you... Something else, maybe? Right on. Call me tomorrow. Because we'll do a flight, okay? We'll do a flight tomorrow. Don't miss it. 4 p.m. Around 4 p.m. we'll get off. We'll get the stream going. Anyways. What shall we do? They want me to talk about the tunnels. Nugget Man, what's there really to say? What's the big old deal? Now, there might be some weird stuff with the whole thing. And there was something, I'm not just saying that either. Like, there was a good, clear point on this. Where was it? But it's not that interesting to me, to be honest with you. And then it's hilarious. The spawn point, they got tunnels. I want tunnels. I want our own tunnels. Modern castles. I want the Bond tunnel system. We don't have anything like that, LAPD. Calm down. There was someone made an interesting point about this, what these people believe in, 𒒏💊💂💂💏. There's a rebellious group of teens. It's those teens. Teens at it again. They're Jewish this time, though. Israeli? Whatever. Something like that. I believe they're not American. They're here on like visas, student visas, the news reports. And they're like, there's like a whole eschatological prophecy that the 𒒏💊💂💂 people believe in. Okay? Eschatological, having to do with the end of times, death. And what this rebellious group of teens, it's teens again, what they did was apparently they believe that the Messiah already came. They call him Rabbi something, Schmierson or something like that. Some rabbi that lived, like an actual person that already lived and died. They say he was the Messiah. These youngins, these crazy radical youngins. They basically say he's the Messiah, and that him coming and going or something like that, it means that a certain prophecy has been fulfilled. The third temple they call it a third temple. It'd be nice to have Bill Lockwood on this. I know he's asked us to get some of interesting people to debate him. I've reached out, Bill Lockwood, waiting on some responses to debate millennialism. It's kind of interesting. But, I mean, just off the top, just remembering if you find it interesting at all, this rebellious sect of this group, the 𒒏💊💂💂 people who believe that the Messiah came and that this Messiah built the third temple. Well, there's some kind of prophecy. Should this happen, this third temple get created, well, sacrifices must begin. Animal sacrifices, don't freak out. That's my understanding. That you got to start sacrificing animals again all of a sudden. I mean, it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy to think, okay, well, maybe they wanted to do strange sacrifice stuff. These radical Jewish teens, what's wrong with them? Nick, you're way off, LOL. And you think, really, Kevin, what am I off on? I'm just telling you what a rabbi said. Maybe I'm inaccurate in some parts. I'm not saying that that's what's happening. We're just comic book LARPing. We don't do that in America. Says that New York NYPD cop. But why is that exactly, we got him. What's that, tell me what's the big deal? it'll be maybe like illegal and kind of wacky and definitely not American, and you can't do that here. But how much farther? How much more do you need? Like, what did you discover here? What's the big secret? The secret to life that you discovered here? Maybe I'm missing it. I want to tell you a little bit. This actor they're talking about dating, a little bit on dating. Timothée Chalamet. 2 different views. People have 2 different views on that moment with that celebrity gal. What's her name? Jenner, one of the Jenners. But first, I got Mark out of Los Angeles. Thank you for your call, Mark. You're on the air.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, Nick.
No problem.
I wish the people in the audience would consider for a moment 2 things. One is, if current trends continue, I'm talking about with immigration and the decline of the white race, I just want your audience to think about what the world will look like in 100 years from the damage that Biden and the communists are doing to our country and the world. In 100 years, there may not even be a white race. And that, to me, means civilization would collapse. Also, the other...
And you're relating this to IQ? If what were we saying?
Well, I was going to bring that up also.
Oh, my bad.
But the other thing I wanted to say...
Mark is loud. My apologies. Let me turn him down. My caller's loud here. My apologies. Go ahead.
Okay. And can you imagine, and I want your audience to just imagine, if there had not been a white race, if the white race had not existed, we wouldn't have electricity. Okay, we'd be in darkness. Everything that the white man has contributed to civilization would never have been, and we would probably still be living in the Stone Age and eating each other if the white race wasn't put here by God's will. And in 100 years since Satan today, I believe, is dooming the whole world through race mixing and immigration, it will go back to that in 100 years. Now, we may still have the remnants of white civilization in 100 years, but it's going to be like a third world. There will be no order. Diseases will spread. War and chaos will happen. The white man is the peacemaker. We're the ones that built this world, basically. And I'm not saying the Asians didn't contribute, but if you listen to Arnold Toynbee, the world's greatest historian, he said, and I don't have the numbers precisely, but roughly since the beginning of time, the white race has created about 15 civilizations. The Asians have contributed to about, and again, this is a rough number because it's been a while since I've read Toynbee, roughly 6 or 7 civilizations by the Asians, but up until the present time, from the beginning of the world, there has never been a black civilization created by black men. It's never happened. So that's Arnold Toynbee, and it all kind of runs together with the IQ issue. Now, I missed the first part of your show. I've been listening for about 10 minutes before I called, and you were just getting off of the IQ issue. So I don't know what was said earlier on this issue, but black people score 10 to 15 IQ points lower than whites on average. So I don't know if that's what started the conversation or not, but I heard your last caller.
Oh, what started it was they elected the first Down syndrome parliamentarian in Spain.
Oh, that's what it was about.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about this, but she's got Down syndrome and she's holding a high level of office over there in Spain.
Wow!
And she's breaking barriers and has been a champion for those with intellectual disabilities, as they say.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: what do you think, if current trends continue, what this world will look like in 100 years?
Yeah, let me comment on that because I got to say, Mark, you're not talking crazy at all. Here's what's right about what you're saying. What gets missed with the, I think in the IQ or intelligence argument, and I know there's a lot we don't understand by IQ. And my argument earlier, I was saying I don't think it's the full picture, and And I have a question for you on that. But what gets missed on this, and what's controversial, and it rubs people the wrong way, is essentially, to answer your question, is if trends continue like this, including IQ trends, we will be in a third world country. We will not have the people that ran the society, that made the society. It reminds me of the engineers of the aqueducts in Rome and how their people forgot how to maintain them and how to create them and all that. And so they fell into disrepair. They couldn't enjoy the same level of life and technology that they had before. They had lost something along the way. And it's not that everybody has to have an IQ. Everyone has their role in life. But that being said, there is a role for those of the high IQ people, the engineers, or leaders or whatever. And those people are supposed to lift everybody else up. And there's a certain percentage of these high IQ people that this society that has been built requires. And as we're seeing the older generations die off, we're seeing the airlines, we're seeing all sorts of things going to go off the rails. So if that's your question, the trend is to a third world country where disease is rampant, where amenities and the general things of life just are in disrepair and don't work. It reminds me of the Congolese video I showed you the other day. The Congolese were in colonial rule and had many railroads and structures that they just simply let go to disrepair once the colonial rule ended, and this is recently in the last 50 years. So I think that's the part that gets missed with the IQ stuff. But okay, I'll let you respond, but I have a question for you on that.
Sure.
I'll go ahead and ask you. That being said, okay, I'm sorry. You go first.
Okay, I was just going to ask you, do you think in 100 years, again, if current trends continue, that we will have tribal war with all these different colored folks breaking into our country and the domesticated ones that are here already? Do you think it's just going to be tribal warfare throughout what's left of the U.S.?
I honestly don't know. I mean, it might be a little bit I don't know. It might be. I mean, this is just fantasy. This is just in our heads. We really don't know. I really don't think, in my opinion, any real social order will really collapse. It'll be more like warring factions in America, early America. What was it? The Irish and who were those? In early Boston. I mean, there was some pretty bloody stuff going on then. And they still had a government and a social order, a semblance in some area. Am I making some sense here? Maybe it'll be like that a little bit.
I just wanted to say that even though you had the Irish riots, of the 18th century, you can't compare them to even the 1960s in the United States, where, they burned down every major city in America. They sniped the police. They caused millions and millions, possibly billions of dollars in damage. They sniped at policemen at fire. They didn't do that in the Irish riots. No comparison. That's an unfair equivocation of two different periods of violence in America. You can't compare the Irish rioters to what the Negroes did to our major cities. Furthermore, if you want to look into the future, just look in the past. Look at, let's say, New York City 100 years ago. Okay, a white woman could walk down any street in safety 100 years ago. Today, look at New York today. Look at Chicago today. These were bastions of white civilization, and we see what they are today compared to what they were 100 years ago. Now, 100 years from now, I don't see any hope unless there's a miracle from God. What was your question for me?
Well, okay, so you essentially agree with my prediction of should IQs and stuff that we're seeing with immigration and all that continue. We essentially agree, right? Third world country.
Oh, yeah, but it's going to be worse.
Probably.
Think, even than that.
But I wanted to ask you, that being said, everything I mentioned and the role of IQ and the role of, the people, the custodians of the world, really, who are the Europeans, the white people, et cetera, the West. That being said, with all this IQ, what is wrong with white people then? What's missing? Why are their birth rates low? Why are they allowing this to happen? Why is immigration all the things you mentioned? How is it that this can happen to a high IQ people?
Because we've been beaten down by the courts. We've been beaten down by the politicians. In the 1950s, white people, most whites, not all, most whites fought against integrating in schools, and we were defeated. And since then, we've been a defeated race in our own country. So the white haters from the 50s, now, 60, 70 years later, are pushing their agenda further than anyone in the 50s, white or black, could have even imagined.
Wow.
Now they're opening the borders to the third world. They've basically indoctrinated our educational system. I think it's Washington State has just passed the law that you don't have to be efficient in math or science to graduate because those courses are considered racist. So that tells you where we're headed.
Wow. So basically, the Americans of today, from what you're saying, I guess you can conclude that what we're seeing is the sons and daughters of the people today, of Americans. They are products of a defeated people.
Yes,
a defeated people in their hearts and their minds.
Yes, they've taken.
Now, how did that happen?
Speech. Well, the government took away our free speech. You can't say certain words, and obviously I'm not going to repeat them. Even though we have a First Amendment, certain N-word, for example, that's a 6-letter word that's protected by the First Amendment. But because of hurt feelings and white guilt, we can't say that word. That's just a small example. I mean, on the job, if you say anything that's even construed as racist, you can lose your job. So how are we going to defend our race when they've got us down from the get-go?
Well,
you tell me how we're going to do it. We can't segregate ourselves. They won't let us do that.
Well, from what you're saying, it's not the same people. From what you're saying, they're not the same Americans. They are products. They're the sons and daughters of defeated people. The Americans from before were winners. They believed in God. They maybe understood a little bit more of what was going on in their homes. Think about Christian white men. Do you think, when you think of today's white man and you think of the home and marriage, do you see a strong white man in a home, or do you see or do you get the image of and maybe advertising and other stuff is some playing a part here, but look, don't you get the image of a weak, the woman kind of happy wife, happy life, the woman handles, the woman kind of leads in some ways, or they think it's an equal world. Like, I don't really get the image of a strong white man with his wife. It's not the image I get, which is a shame, because until they figure that out, things aren't going to get better.
Well, they want to break up the nuclear family, talking about the far left. And I would say that today, as bad as things are, the white nuclear family is still held together more than as far as I know, any other racial group. We still have a family unit, although it's disintegrating. We built the country.
But it's toxic.
We built on Christian values. When we were more of an homogenous country, racially speaking, we had better safety. It was safer for women to walk the street. White men were allowed to carry guns and own them without the insanity that they're doing.
Sure, that was then. That was then. But today, that same family unit that you're saying is, and yes, whites they're not the ones leading the way to destruction of the right. There are other races doing that. But that was then. You're talking about then. Today, it seems like that family unit is toxic, because even if the parents are together, you got emotional children. They got problems. They got anger. They got anxiety. They got feelings. They got autism, ADHD, all this crap that's not real, spiritual stuff. The man's not leading in the home. I mean, how do white people expect to get anything better if they don't get that right? The home, dealing with the woman, even having some kind of awareness of that influence. Most don't even have that awareness of that influence in the home. They have no clue what's going on. They're almost like up the creek without up that one creek without a paddle.
Sure. In American history, I think you'll see white Southerners after the Civil War saw the threat of black rule in America. And that's why they were segregationists. That's why they deported Negroes to the North during the 50s and 60s before the Civil Rights Movement. They were shipping their black people up north because they didn't want them. They knew what was coming. It's similar to what Abbott's doing with the illegal aliens. The White Citizens Council paid Negroes one-way tickets to New York back in the 50s and 60s. So what Abbott is doing isn't a new idea. He's just using illegal aliens instead of Negroes. But they tried, and they tried to warn us, and we failed to heed their advice, and now look where we're at today. Look at the schools. Look at the indoctrination. Look at the race
which white parents send their kids to.
They have no choice. Unless you've got money to go to a private school, you have no choice. I mean, it's just the way it is.
I wouldn't say they have no choice.
Schools,
I wouldn't say they have no choice, though.
Well, yeah, if you have money, you could go to a private school, but most people...
And I get it. School and education, a private school, a good school is a great indicator for future wealth. It's you know, I get it. A lot of people say, go homeschool like it's the easiest. But that option remains true. To say there's no choice is silly. It's how badly do you want it, really? How badly do you want it? Are you willing to offer up and sacrifice your kid to the beast, to the grand system here, just for a chance to be in the running? Or are you happy with what you got? And at least you got, and you know, you have a choice. Come on, can't say no choice.
Well, you have homeschooling. I forgot about that. You can do homeschooling. I don't know much about it, but it's probably a lot better than sending your kids to these indoctrinated.
But that's what they're doing. They're sending them.
Because they don't
conservatives even complain, but still send them.
Well, it's usually
and it's the mother who usually does it. The mother will dominate and will be like, even these conservative mothers, they'll go to the school boards and complain, but hey, no, don't tell her to stay home and stay with the kids. Even a Christian home, she'll be like, what? And so you're saying it's the civil rights movement didn't do that to the white family. Not to be so. It's not that I'm not understanding that part where you're talking about. Okay, it's crazy what has happened, but okay. I feel like we've talked about that already over many calls, which I appreciate. But about white people, when are they going to just stop doing that and kind of, I don't know, figure it out?
Well, for the most part, most of the whites today have had their spirit broke. They tried to stop this, and they couldn't, and now they can't. I mean, you mentioned about they have a choice. Unless you have money, you don't have a choice. And again, I don't know much about homeschooling, but it seems to me that might be an option to get your kids out of the chaos of what's going on in our schools. And all it is indoctrination and brainwashing. When somebody brags about having a college degree, I have less respect for that person, or I have less trust for him or her because they've been indoctrinated. Somebody with less education is probably a more honest person than and a patriot than a indoctrinated college graduate. You know, these college graduates are, you know, they're brainwashed to hating their own race, hating their own nation, hating their own family. You know, I've seen it with my own eyes. To get back at parents, if you're a white girl, marry a black, and you'll get even with them. But it's destroying everything, destroying your seed, destroying your race. And
you hate your parents.
Yeah, that happens. It happens quite often.
Yeah.
If you want to get back at your parents, if you're a white girl, just go out with a black. Believe me, that'll terrify most parents. But this is the kind of things that we're seeing today in society, and it's pretty scary. It's really scary. I don't know if you have kids, but if you have kids, do you plan to send them to the public schools?
No.
Oh, good. Are you going to homeschool?
It's crossed my mind. I don't know if I've gotten there yet, but it makes sense to me. I don't see why not.
Yeah, the only thing is that I found they don't. It doesn't allow for socializing. You know, by being at home.
I've heard this.
Yeah, that could be a bad thing, but overall, it might save them. And I'm for private homeschooling. That would be a solution. Insofar as the IQ test, because I didn't listen to the
last thing, and we'll move on here. Appreciate your call, Mark. Go ahead. You were saying about IQ?
Oh, yeah, no, all I was going to say is the IQ test is another warning sign, you know, to the white man. Look, these people aren't making the grade, and yet there are equal. that could only bring society. You can't make a weak man strong by making a strong man weak. And that's what the whole idea of diversity and so-called equity, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I was calling... My bad, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's forced, socialized Marxism, to put it
Yeah, I was calling
term.
it barbaric earlier. It's actually quite barbaric when you think about it too. It's order society, all about the lowest common denominator. A lot of countries in the world do that, and they suffer for it. That they're still in squalor and a lot of mess going on because of that.
Well, let me leave you with, if I could leave you with this. I think the first act of communism in the United States took place in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1957, when an Army National Guard, at the point of bayonets, forced white girls to go to school with Negroes. To me, that was communism in action. And in fact, evil. The man who was in charge, Major General Edwin A. Walker at the time in the 1950s, he was in charge of that brigade who integrated Little Rock, and he said it was the worst thing he ever had to do. He regretted it. He didn't want to do it. He was a segregationist himself, and yet he was forced to use his army to integrate the schools. And he said it was the first act of communism. Of course,
that's pretty evil, man.
6 years.
Yeah, I didn't know about the details that deeply, but I mean, I'm aware somewhat of this integration and that whole thing. I mean, it doesn't, they say it's supposed to be the nice thing, but when you really examine it, it doesn't quite make sense to force people like that.
It's been a failure.
Right, it's been a failure, but even before knowing that, it's just on its face, it's forcing people to do something like that is evil.
Well, last thing
freedom of association, they call it. Go ahead.
Is that the same Major General, Edwin Walker, he felt so guilty about what he forced on the people of Arkansas. I think it was about 6 years later. He was to force integration at Ole Miss. And he refused, and he actually went there to Ole Miss and told the Army that was there to integrate and put James Meredith as the first black student. He told them to put their arms down and don't force integration. He was arrested and charged with insurrection. That's the only American who's ever been charged with insurrection since the Civil War. And they dropped the charge because he was a war hero. And
right on, Mark.
He was my hero. He was one of my heroes. Okay, I appreciate the time. Thank you for hearing me out.
No problem, Mark. Appreciate it. Call me again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. I might have let that go too long. My bad. I don't know if I want to show you this. They're saying they had Mexicans in the tunnels. I almost forgot to mention this. This may be silly. Breathing life into the wrong thing for some people, maybe. They were saying they were shrewd businessmen employing the illegal, the migrant extremist Jewish teens secretly hired migrants to dig covert Brooklyn Synagogue tunnel, Shawshank style. I mean, it just writes itself, honestly. I find it silly. I find it ridiculous. And also just, it's just wrong to be using that labor in such a way when they are young, and there are laborers in America who would be happy to be paid to do this labor. It wouldn't be OSHA certified anyways, right? Under the table. Pay me under the table. These migrants, man, they stuffed the dirt in their pockets so that their work wouldn't be detected by the sex leaders and wider community. I mean, I don't know how they did this. That's what these you seen the movie Shawshank Redemption? That's what these young men did at first. They dug up and put the dirt in their pockets. Maybe they watched Shawshank Redemption. Enterprising, and very creative and what's the word? Whatever. What are we talking about now? 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎. You saw this on the JLP show, I think. Two very different views on this moment here in the last bit of the show here. Why not? Why not? Shall we do this? Why not? You've seen this moment. Looking lovingly into each other's eyes as he was all like kissing her and she was like rubbing, I don't know, the inside of his shirt or something. I don't know what she was doing in that video. But it was all lovingly looking into each other's eyes. Two different views on this, though. People are saying men and women aren't even in the same playbook. They're not even in the same. They're nowhere on. They're not even on the same page here. See if we get a. How do we? No, don't do that. Let's do a little zoom in here. Myron Gaines from that podcast, Fresh and Fit. You know it a little bit. I see your calls. I'll get to you. Hold on. Saying this won't last. Anytime a man likes a woman more than she likes him, it's a matter of time until it's over. Women simply cannot respect a man they feel they are better than. Disney lied. Sorry, fellas. I remember what JLP was saying too. Yeah, when they're loving up like that, especially in public, that means they're trying really hard. They're trying really hard to stay together, actually. That it's on the outs. They're on the outs. It's not a good look. Timothée Chalamet and girlfriend, my little girlfriend, Kylie Jenner at the Golden Globes, okay? These are celebrities, okay? Savannah on Twitter has a different view on this. This video that's circulating of Kylie and Timothée is the perfect example of how every woman wants a man to act towards them. Literally all of his attention is on her. It's like we're the only ones in the room. He's making her feel like the most beautiful and special girl in the entire room. And you could tell he's absolutely obsessed with her. This is all a woman wants. This behavior is more important than your looks. It's more important than the amount of money you make, the car you drive, and all of the other reasons people list in order to be in a relationship. How you treat her and how you make her feel on a daily basis will always be what makes her fall and stay in love with you. Dang. Couple different views on this. Couple different views on this. The thing is, the simp dodged a bullet. Dang. I mean, the thing is, they're both kind of right. They're both kind of right in different ways. Not to take such a, they're both kind of right, wishy-washy stance. It is all fake. It's on the outs. They were trying really hard to be together. That's for sure. They're trying their darndest to show each other how they love. But I don't know if you've noticed, as women get old, as people get older, this actually works better and better with women. I don't know if you notice this. As people get older, and they don't really want to do it. They're not really ready or really want to do things kind of real. Look at themselves actually a little bit. What's wrong with me? The next one will work. They're still on that. And this actually works more as you get older and haggier and things don't work out and you keep lying to yourself. This actually works pretty well. I don't know if you've noticed. And you'll keep her around. She's looking for that high. This is all a woman wants, says this Savannah. And I mean, guys, I think guys know that this has its place. It works in a way in grabbing attention. That's why men do it. Let's be real. That's why they do it. It is fake, though. It won't last. This is for those who are living that life where it's she's just yours for now kind of thing. I'm not old, says RG. Whatever. I'm not old. You know what I mean? And you're not really ready to face that. Like, something's wrong with me. It just happens, okay, with older people too, if you notice. They get haggier and they just willing to go along with the lie more. That excitement. Some get older and doesn't go that way. They age a little bit more or finally. They're like, okay, this is immature. This whole business. This feelings and PDA, this is absolutely immature. Not real. What else did you say? How you treat her and how you make her feel on a daily basis will always be what makes her fall and stay in love with you. Yeah, actually. Yeah. Kinda. That whole like fall in love, that crap. Some guys are just really good at that. And some people will see that guy and be like, dang, that guy is a Romeo. Is a total Romeo. But some guys are just really good at licking boots. Like really good at it. They know exactly how to do it. They can do it with multiple women, and it looks a certain way. That's in my opinion. I think most guys are just really, some are just better than others. Some are just really good at licking boots. Okay. Because, like, I think guys who are, this is all in my head. Tell me if you disagree. This is like a headcanon I came up with. But I think the manly, the like rough guy that some guys think they can be, this rough guy who like beds a lot of women and he's rough. He's a cowboy, rough cowboy. I think what they miss is the other side of that story is that rough cowboy. I mean, those rough guys sleeping around, women, they're sleeping with rough women. Like it's kind of a rough world. You know what I'm saying? The bar lady, the bar fly, they're sleeping with rough people. It's not quite, you got these guys who are, I'm just rambling at this point, but they're all red pilled up with the dating scene. But if you really look into it, they're just like simping for women and they're just really good at licking boots. It's a rough life for sure for a cowboy. It's a rough life. Sleeping women that are willing to do that, at least once upon a time, they were the rougher kind. They were like slutty. They're not really the girl next door. You know what I mean? So that rough cowboy, it's a rough life. So maybe people got the wrong idea. Because most of these players, it seems like they're licking boots. They're just really good at it. High class woman. Wow. What the heck am I even talking about? Let's talk to Latin A in Cali. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hi, Nick. Thanks for taking my call. I was wondering if you've heard about the New York City school being shut down. They kicked all the kids out so that they could have them learn remotely, and they're going to house the migrants there.
Tell me, is it the one in the Madison High School? I think it's called Madison High School in New York, in Brooklyn.
The James
Madison High School. I did hear about this, mentioned it, I think, yesterday. Crazy. They now have to do at-home learning, right?
Yeah, but Charlemagne the God is actually really upset about this time.
Say that again?
Charlemagne the God is really upset about this.
Gotcha. Charlemagne the God, you got the guy who runs that show. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's the guy that was interviewing Joe Biden, and he told him,
Right. You ain't black if you don't vote for me.
Yeah, or something like that.
Totally legendary. Okay, so he's saying he's not liking these kids being kicked out for the migrants. We try to tell him though. We try to tell him. At least someone tried to tell him, I bet.
So they're kicking out all the poor kids out of school.
Dang, that's crazy. And you know what's crazy about what you're saying? I swear I had a caller on my show not that long ago talking about, no, that's just propaganda, Nick. Oh, blacks being replaced That's just crazy talk, okay? There's more blacks proportion, blah, 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 percentage than ever. And I'm like, but aren't they like being kicked out of neighborhoods, their schools, and illegals, basically, migrants moving in? They're Mexicanizing these neighborhoods and blacks are complaining. I mean, isn't this kind of a side of that too? I don't know if this was that many blacks in that school, but people were trying to say I was crazy for that. But this is kind of proof, no?
This is proof. It said on the article from CBS that the backlash was so intense that the school received a bomb threat.
Oh, dang. Don't go around doing that. But I see what's going on. Did you know this? Latin A, according to Meredith here on X.com, shares an interesting little tidbit here. And I'm trying to get the source. The source, she's sourcing this from New York Times. Check it out. This is an extremely detailed map of the 2020 election. If you look at the area where James Madison High School is, it's all red. It's surrounded by blue, but this particular area where James Madison High School is, they all voted for Trump in the 2020 elections. I'm showing that map now on screen. Hello?
Oh, you're showing it on the screen?
I am. You might be on a delay,
Okay.
but take that in. Talk about replacement a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Based neighborhood.
You know, I was if that was my kid's school, I would be concerned about secret cameras being put in like the girls' bathrooms, the boys' bathrooms, anywhere where they can, maybe they want to spy on the kids to like see like if they want to kidnap somebody, like to scope them out,
Gotcha. You say some of these people might have wrong intentions knowing they're in a school. I know.
For high school age girls and boys, yes.
Well, some might say that's crazy talk, but we've seen kind of plenty of that already with, they have a different view of sex, some of these people. They have definitely a much different view of sex and what's allowed or what's okay, what you should have shame about. So, I mean, some might say that's a crazy talk for you, but you know what? Maybe a little bug detector after they're gone might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Just a little bug detector.
Yeah, but as a parent, I'd rather them be safer than sorry.
What, you send them back though? Is this a public school?
It is. I think it's a public school.
No, keep them home. Don't even send them back.
Well, they said that they're families that are underprivileged at that school.
Oh, okay. So it could be like
I don't know.
A Brooklyn school, maybe what do they call them? Inner city schools. Does that always just mean bad school, inner city school? Or does it always mean a black school? Like, I've always heard that used to describe bad schools or black schools. But can a school be in the inner city and be a good school?
I don't know. All I know is that Americans are suffering. Americans are like, some of them are one away from being homeless. People are living paycheck to paycheck, and people like Gavin Newsom are living the life of royalty, sending their children to private schools where they're allowed to go back to in-person learning, and they just get special treatment, basically. But not kids who, happen to go to public school.
The lowest common denominator. It's truly evil, man. I mean, Latin A. Appreciate your call, Latin A. Anything else you want to say before we move the wheels here?
That's it.
Appreciate that. Yeah, for sure. Take care. I said man. Latin A is not a man. A woman. Crazy stuff. Yeah, I had that link too. I was going to maybe touch on it, but we had a caller on it. Wild stuff. It was just not just that, remember? They got that Governor Healy, whatever her name is. This lady, Healy, out of some state, asking the public to basically take in house migrant families. Maura Healey, governor of Massachusetts. So, Yeah, they definitely want to do a little bit more than just these schools. That's pretty much it, though, from me, American Anchor Baby. We'll do a flight tomorrow. Don't miss it. We will fly tomorrow, okay? We got a flight tomorrow. Don't miss it, 4 p.m. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss it when we go live. And you can start taking your seats and get cozy for tomorrow's Friday flight. But let me see, make sure I didn't miss anybody here. Before we take our leave here. Vasco Vasconomi with the super chat says Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club. And I think that's all for now. I got some coffees. You can buy me a coffee. That's awesome. Buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby. Don't look up where the coffee says, I only fly Anchor Baby Airlines. Here's a Cafe Bustelo for the pilot. Thank you, sir. Or lady. Renesio with a coffee says, Nick, what's your favorite cheese? I bet I can guess. Mine is Chi. Chi is a type of cheese. Chi cheese. What do you think mine is? You said you bet you could guess. Carver with a coffee says, congratulations on your Buy Me a Coffee, Nick, although I am confused on if it's a real coffee or not. Also, you should put the link in your video so we don't think you're a pip. Pip kids. We love pip kids, right? I'll put that in my default description. Appreciate that. Great idea, Carver. And I think that's all. What do you guess? What's my favorite cheese, Renesio? Don't say Gorgonzola. I actually hate blue cheese. Ew, Munster. I have a bad view of Munster. See, Little Caesars, they had this great pizza. Great deal on a pepperoni, a pretzel crust pepperoni pizza. And I'm like, great deal. Let me just mog one whole pizza to my face. I'm just going to be just real cruddy. Just real cruddy. Just whole pizza to the face. And I bite into it, and it's this strange cheese. It's not quite the cheese, just normal cheese on a pizza. And I look it up, and you can only get this. I may have said this before. I'm still peeved about it. Little Caesars puts mustard cheese all over it. What a mess. What a mess. All right, folks, I'm out. That's it. Mozzarella. That's enough cheese talk, and that's enough for me. I'm going to say bye. See y'all tomorrow. Bye. And little Nick too. Bye.